This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains no spoilers, but does mention Mean Girls, Euphoria, 10 Things I Hate About You, and The Craft. For full lists, please see show notes. There are also discussions surrounding bullying, homophobia, and sexual assault.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Jawbreaker, which is, I'm going to say, a cult classic.
It is
from 99. And this is a rewatch for me. I have watched it 1,000 times. And Jess, this is only the second time that you have watched it.
Yeah, this is only my second watch. And only because, I can't say only because. I remember recently at my previous employer, one of my friends, he was like, "What do you mean you haven't seen Jawbreaker?" And I go, "Well, it was always on the list, and I love the main song, Yoo-Hoo, and I just remember that. But then by the time you get around to it, something else has already come out." So we did a movie night. It was like me, him, and his boyfriend, and we're like, we're watching Jawbreaker. And the second you find out Judy Greer is in it, Judy Greer is in everything. So I was sold.
More love for Judy Greer. She is, just as you were saying when we were talking earlier, she's a character actress, but really she should be the lead. She's amazing. She's hysterical. We love. The cast here is really fantastic in Jawbreaker. But before we get into the movie, I have a question for you, Jess. My question for you is, did you have Mean Girls in high school?
I'm sure yes, we did. I had more Mean Girls in middle school. And then
middle school's the worst. Middle school is awful. It's awful.
Awful. Ugh. And it translated into my freshman year because everybody came from the same neighborhood in the same middle school. And I was a transfer student who I got I got placed into this school that was out of my district because of academics and stuff. So I tested into this school. That first freshman year, I will never forget. I was the girl eating lunch in the bathroom, and then a sophomore adopted me, and she's like, "It's okay." So then freshman year got good because I was with all the upperclassmen.
Nice, very nice.
But I think I was kind of protected in a little bubble after that. I hate saying it's just part of high school culture. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But I think what helped is once I got in with the group of friends that I did, even though it was happening on the outside, I really had a good group of friends that I didn't have any huge falling outs with. You kind of focused on that and not so much the negative stuff. But high school was better than my home life. So it could have been awful at school and it still would have been better than at home.
That's a really good point.
So I'm
yeah, it's yeah. Huh. So I bring up Mean Girls because Mean Girls is something that kind of is a reflection of Jawbreaker. We see a lot of Jawbreaker in Mean Girls. Just like we see a lot of Heathers in Jawbreaker. Everything's kind of...
And it's all interconnected, right? In every high school cult classic movie, you see it, and not just in these ones. You see it from Carrie in the 60s and the horror movies. So it's an ongoing theme. The writer of Heathers was frustrated with this particular movie, Jawbreaker, saying, "Oh my gosh, they pulled so much from Heathers, blah, blah, blah." You could definitely tell watching Jawbreaker, there is such an homage to Heathers. And of course, the director-writer of Jawbreaker was like, no. I was paying homage to it. I did not steal from Heathers. On the flip side, Mean Girls comes out and he makes the comment, "Mean Girls stole from me, blah, blah, blah." And you're like, calm down. Calm down. And I think we spoke about this in our 10 Things I Hate About You episode. Teen high school movie. You have the slow-mo. Oh, and we talked about it in The Craft, too. You have the slow-mo scenes. You have the friendship circles. You have the I own this school attitude. When the only, like, you're only the main character in your head, not to everybody else. But in this movie, they are, I mean, every single social circle is scared of this group.
And you know what? And what a freaking group they are. Like, honestly,
from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed with Courtney Shane. Like, Rose McGowan is shining here. Like, just glorious. Just completely glorious. Julie Benz, she is Darla in Buffy for me forever. Like,
oh! I was like, why do I know that name?
Yeah, so like, I saw her as Buffy at a very like formative, or like in Buffy at a very formative age. So now every time I see her, I'm just like, oh. But I love seeing her like this. Of course, Rebecca Gayheart, of course. And
I love her. That woman is one of the most beautiful people on this planet.
She's stunning. One of my notes in here is, how are her eyes real? She's just incredible. Of course, Judy Greer, Tatiana Ali. Yes.
Yeah, I think that was when she was trying to come out of her Fresh Prince, like trying to just get more work. At the same time, that was the year that she opened for NSYNC. She was like an opening act for NSYNC. Like, she was just trying to branch out outside of her, Ashley Banks persona.
Interesting. I did not know that. And also the sister, the crazy sister from, I say crazy, the troubled sister from That 70s Show. She is also in here in like a unnamed like bit part. Oh. I just think it's very interesting.
Jeff Conaway is Marcie's dad.
I know. Oh my god. All of the it's so good. Okay, let's actually talk about this movie. This movie opens. They are freaking 17. I have to remind myself that they are 17. This is Liz Purr's 17th birthday. Okay. There is the classic, like, 90s car opening. It's so good with the camera and the music. Ugh.
And the font, like, just the opening credits.
Yes.
But, okay, let's say Liz is 17. It is Liz's 17th birthday. However, they are in their senior year. Mm-hmm. And many people are also 18 in the senior year, which you come to find out later in the movie because Rose goes to the bar. And as we know from growing up down south, I don't know if it's changed now, but 18 to enter, 21 to drink.
Right. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. I don't know. It's just wild. I really love this opening. The Polaroid camera. Are you kidding? Like, how fantastic.
Which is still a thing now. So
yes,
a lot of the things that were in this movie, between the fashion and the tech, I'm like, oh, like this could be made right now.
Well, and that is kind of part of it. This movie is timeless in a way. It, like so many fantastic movies, they are shot in a way where it can kind of be like ambiguous, but we'll get to that. Okay. And then we have the opening credits. Something that kind of bugs me here throughout the whole movie is the, kind of comedic editing with the editing noises and, like with the tongue and the classroom. Yeah. I hated that.
Yeah.
Like the tongue and all of that kind of comedic, like transition kind of stuff. That was weird, right?
It felt like you were watching something, and then, when somebody has an app next to you, like a fart button or something, like that's what it felt like, that there was an external audience member hitting a sound effects button. It didn't feel like it was organically integrated into the movie.
It is just, I don't know. It's just really wild. I need to speak on their clothing. Their clothing is phenomenal. It is fantastic. So, Jess, I told you that I discovered something about myself while I was watching this movie. This is what I discovered. I discovered that I wear strapless dresses with my bra and a cardigan, and I do that because of seeing Rose McGowan do that in this like red outfit that she has. So this came out in 99. I must have seen it, you know, right after that when it came out to like home video or whatever, not to date myself. But that is something that I still do to this day.
You are a big cardigan person with a dress, I know.
And I have never seen anyone do that like this because she's wearing like a bodice. It's like a boned like corset. And then it has the bra, and then
the cropped cardigan, too.
Yeah, and the cropped cardigan, and then she puts it over, and then Miss Sherwood tries to like button her up. She's like, "Cover your bosoms. This is a learning institution, not a brothel."
Which, okay, let's like as much as like I understand, especially at that time, this also goes back to the conversations of why are we censoring women's clothing? Because nobody's ever censoring. Yeah, again, it's 99, but it's still happening today in 2022 now. Like, it's still, that conversation would still be had. However, after we watched, like, the first episode of the second season of Euphoria, I was watching this, and they were, like, they didn't have any purse, like, they didn't have backpacks, they just brought their purse to class, and I go, this is 1999 Euphoria.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
But then you could argue they had lockers. So, Rebecca Gayhart's character, Julie, she was always bringing books to class. Like, she was good. I liked her. She's probably I know you love Rose McGowan. I loved Rebecca Gayhart's character.
Yeah, I love Rose McGowan. I also like that Miss Sherwood says, "Be nice, girls," which is just so funny because Rose McGowan is the meanest fucking person ever. Did you notice that they were reading Macbeth in that Scottish play in the classroom?
I didn't, but I did notice. I was like, "What is this?" Because there's a focus on the William Shakespeare poster in the back, and I go, "There's a tell. What is happening that is so William Shakespeare focused?" Now I know. I was like, I'm looking for it, and I couldn't find it.
The book that that the teacher is like talking about to make everybody like kind of feel guilty after they do the whole like cover up thing is Macbeth, which is really interesting. And this is the tongue sound effect that you hate.
Macbeth is the play that was what Sleep No More was based off of the time we went, right?
Yes.
So we were like following the different characters. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So now we are. Well, I do want to comment once more on clothes. All of the clothes are fantastic. These tights that are in these with the colored back seams that are in. Oh my God. And I read that the costume designer like hand like sewed them to like custom. Oh my God. Like amazing.
Well, I read, and we'll have like the articles that we were reading in our show notes, that they didn't have a budget for clothing. So the costume designer would go to like thrift stores around LA, and that there's this one store that's known for dollar Sundays, and every article of clothing is $1. And the entire wardrobe was thrifted. And the Darren Stein, the director / writer of this, said his only rule was nothing can be black.
Incredible. I also read that everything is kind of like shiny, kind of, and light bondage-y, kind of.
Yeah, like I think I saw reference to Fredericks of Hollywood too.
Yeah, just incredible. So we need to talk about the gross part of this movie. The gross part of this movie is this fabricated, I'm going to say it, capital R, rape scene. What is this? This is so gross here. Like, oh my God. So I know we're setting up Courtney as like a sociopath, right? And like Marcie is her henchman. We're getting that. And this is the pulling away, right? This is Julie really separating herself from everybody. But holy crap, this whole
like the fake scene that they set it up as if Liz was sexually assaulted, but it was really Rose McGowan's character consensually having sex with the person from the bar who is Marilyn Manson, who she was dating at the time.
We'll get into that later because it's gross. Because it's gross. But yeah, and then they sit there and they're like, okay, like, well, if this were happening to me, then I would do this. So let's do this to the panties, and we can't do this to the sheets. So let's do this to this, and like, let's do. Oh my God, the way that they staged it,
everything is so premeditated.
Yeah, it's just so gross. Like, oh my God, it's just so gross. I will admit here that I have slowed this down and watched over and over and over and over and over again. I cannot see Courtney's finger on that fucking button to record her saying her damning, I killed Liz. I killed the teen dream. Deal with it. I cannot see her finger on the record button on the card during this scene.
I wonder, I don't know if because initially I think they were like, oh, this card is from last year and it had a previous message. So I don't know at what point, like, if by opening it a certain time, like, wipes the old message.
No, you have to, like, hold the button to record.
Oh,
so, like, I'm looking for her finger, like, on the button. And it's like, there's no way. But there's a few plot holes in this movie. That's just one of them. The other would be, like, these girls would have their fingerprints and their hair and just, like, everything all over everything. They'd be in her car. Like,
I had some questions where they're in LA, they're in SoCal, like, they're leaving their friend's body in the back of a trunk in SoCal heat. How is nobody smelling anything? How is nothing leaking from the car? I just have a lot of, like, SVU type questions going on. And then when they're carrying her back, I'm thinking, like, how has the rigor mortis not set in? But then they try to make a comment of, like, oh, she's so stiff. I'm like, how are you bending any part of her body right now? That they positioned on the bed, then to find out that Courtney moves it under the bed for the after bar scene to bring it back onto the bed. Oh my God.
I know. It's just so much. It's so much.
All in heels. Why is nobody, like, be practical, right? Like, when you're like this whole thing. I guess
but isn't that a statement though? Like, anything you can do, I can do in heels.
Better, but in heels, yeah.
Yeah, like, screw you. I can do it in what they're in, like, high platforms
and open toed. Like, they're open toed, yeah.
Yeah, like, these are strong ass women. Okay, so while Courtney and everybody is, like, staging this scene, we meet Fern for the first time. We meet Judy Greer as Fern, and she comes into the office. Miss Sherwood asks Fern to take Liz's homework to her, and Fern says such a cringy line here, but it kind of, she's like, you mean meow? It's like, no. God.
No.
It's like, because Liz is the cat's meow. It's like, ew, no. But
secondhand
also
embarrassment for her, but it moves the story along.
It does.
But then you already know where she's at that point.
Yeah,
because she makes that comment.
Line.
Oh yeah, it's the line that gets her. She goes, "Oh, okay, I'll bring her homework." And even Miss Sherwood goes, "Okay, hold on," and she turns around. She goes, "I didn't even give you her address."
Yeah.
And part of me is like, that's very cringe. Like, I feel like it could, and I thought of it two ways, because part of me is like, that's very cringy that you know where this person is. I didn't give you their address, because that Miss Sherwood knew who the friends were, who knew who Liz's friends were, who the core friends were. The other part of me is like, if she was that popular and in a small town, a lot of people know where other, like, I feel like when you go to a smaller high school or a smaller class, everybody, you might not have gone to that person's house, but you know where people live. Oh, they live here. Oh, they live there. So that's the other part of it.
It ties in very nicely to the point that we spoke of before this that I will bring up again.
Okay.
But it sets up Fern's character absolutely.
You know it right there, but it gets solidified.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, just so perfect. I don't like the trope of the teacher in the shitty car. That is just me. I don't like that. Why do we have to keep like making that a thing? Give teachers a nice car. Come on.
I think because everybody knows that teachers are paid shit even then. Like, it wasn't like this newfound concept.
Oh, God. Jess, was it you who told me recently that you do not like a makeover trope, or do you not like a clothing try-on trope?
I don't like the trope, the try-on trope. Like, I don't like the change. I don't like those montages, but I hate those montages, but I feel like it's not complete without the montage.
So how did you feel about this kind of makeover situation that happens here?
With her thing, it was very campy, and I love a camp.
Kind of scary, right? Like, so I was reading one of those articles, and I think it was the director said that he very much thought of Fern and Violet as Courtney's like monster. So like this was like and this was like a Frankenstein, right, situation. So that's why she was like on the table,
and there was like a doctor. Like it wasn't necessarily Courtney manufacturing it. It was a doctor in a lab coat. Like yeah. So like for Frankenstein vibes, and knowing that, like, it absolutely makes sense in like so many ways.
So Judy Greer as Fern is amazing. Judy Greer as Fern as Violet is just this next level amazing like situation. So if we're going to talk about clothing here, I want to stop and talk about skin, because Judy Greer and Rose McGowan have the most beautiful, like, pale, like, glowing pale complexions here. I don't know. It was just like show-stopping to me.
They have great complexions. I feel like anybody who has a light complexion and then peroxide bleach blonde hair, it always makes you look washed out. It's just like when people tell you, like, when people are trying on like different red lipsticks, and you have to find your shade of red. That doesn't mean you can't rock red. You just have to find like, I do blue undertones in my reds, and I know you usually use like a more of like an orange undertone, because that's just what works for us. I feel like the same thing needs to be said for blondes, like that. But I understand that it was 99. It was LA. That was a look. That was not only was it a look, it was a statement. I also have a problem. Like, they create, like, you know, the part where everybody finds out that Violet is Fern.
Very Mean Girls.
Like, yeah, it's very Mean Girls. You have everything plastered. Everybody finds out. And then they created this whole character, like, oh, have you met Violet? Why did you not just say, oh, this is Fern. Everybody knows Fern. And they just, and then there's the other trope of, oh man, Fern, like, you grew up, or like the glow up. You know, everybody loves a glow up. That whole, like, so many things could have been avoided if that's how it was. Like, oh, I didn't recognize. I understand that that's the plot. That's the whole thing. Blah, blah, blah. I understand that that's part of the storyline. But you know, this goes to when we rewatch things or we reread things, and you just think of, this could have been avoided. And then we could have carried on. Because then Fern wouldn't know. When people are like, oh, she hasn't been in class for a couple days, so that made her a suspect. No, Fern just dyed her hair.
I did never understand why, like the teachers were all of a sudden like, who is this stranger? Like, what? Are you all like fucking blind? Like, she got a haircut and dyed her hair. Like, she's the same. Like, come on, you're the teacher. You should know this. I understand, like, high school boys, not like, I understand that.
I understand the high school boys, but the teachers, those are the ones where I'm just thinking, Fern, oh, Fern, and they would have made the comment, oh, you cut your hair, oh, you did your hair. It looks so nice. And then roll call on to the next person.
I also think, though, that maybe she was, like, sucked in to Courtney's whole, like, right? Because, like, if Courtney, like, creates her and she's giving her this, like, whole new, like, name, right? And kind of making her into a mini her.
Well, then when she gets, quote unquote, out of control, like Marcie says, Marcie's like, she's getting out of control. And Courtney says, but she's the same girl on the inside. Like, she's still she might look different on the outside, but she still has those insecurities, and you see it right away.
A little kind of continuity thing that I thought was really nice is that Julie has like this glass art kind of in the back of her room. And in the beginning of the movie, Liz has the same style glass art in her room, but it's like eyes or whatever. And I thought that was really interesting because it goes ahead to like reinforce the fact that Liz and Julie were closer. So like in the group of 4, it was like Liz and Julie that were like really good friends, and then it was Marcie and Courtney, and then like all together.
Right.
They were
but
friends.
You know how there's some friendships where you can have like a group of friends and then you can kind of pocket away and like different pairings. And then you have some groups where they only function as a whole. It's clear to what you said, Courtney, Julie and Liz they would hang out on their own, or Marcie and Courtney would hang out on their own. But I don't necessarily see Julie and Courtney hanging out on their own.
Yeah. And I think that just kind of like reinforces with the nice little background there.
And that's, I wonder, because Julie calls Fern, be like, oh, remember that time in 4th grade? And of course, they're like, oh, time is funny. And I kind of like where Fern pushes back. She goes, no, people change. Like, time is time. I liked that. But then you also know that. But then when they did the slow-mo walk, Liz is the only one who helps Fern. So I feel like maybe when they were younger, they were like this little, threesome group that was just all really close to each other.
Because middle school is fucking brutal. We're like making up this middle school background for them.
I hate middle. I would never, some people are like, I would never go back to my high school. I would never do, like, they have, and I'm not discrediting, like, there are people who have awful, awful traumatic high school experiences. That was me for middle school.
Okay, so if we're going in order of the movie, we have made it to the kinky popsicle scene. Jess, how do we feel about the kinky popsicle scene here?
I love it. Maybe it's because like Katie Robert has been like the sole author that I've been reading the last couple weeks. It's very empowering. I don't even think Courtney's character, like Rose McGowan's character, Courtney, she was like, oh, I'm into kink. I don't think she was. I think she just like loved the power that she had over him. Fair. I love when the doorbell rang. He's like, oh, I just love that shit.
He's like, don't go. She's like, don't come. Like, hey. Yeah. God, it's so funny. And then the whole like close up on him as he just goes to town kind of on that popsicle is very, very nice. Very nice. We like that. You don't see that a lot.
No, because it's always something from a male gaze, and I feel like in a way that was the female gaze, and also communication. Do to this what you want me to do to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it. And he's like sticky.
Maybe this is just like a teen thing, a teen movie thing. But how are nobody's parents ever home?
And that kind of goes actually into what I'm talking about is kind of the next kind of cut from that is Marcie, Foxy, having dinner with her dad. And her dad asks a very important question. So when Foxy goes and she has dinner with her dad asks a very important question. Her dad asks, is your child a follower? You're a follower. And you know what? If you kind of just like think about that, that's kind of deep to be in a teen movie about this, because like Marcie very much clearly is a follower, like 1,000%.
She's the Karen. She's not like Karen, Karen Boomer Karen, but Karen of Mean Girls.
Yeah. And this scene is very, very.
And let's talk about like the male toxicity that like when she goes, he goes, I was watching Oprah this afternoon. She goes, oh, so now you're being the mom. Like I didn't like that. I mean, granted, I don't want to make excuses. I don't. but it was 1999, and that was clearly, you know, male toxicity and like men can't have feelings and, you know, that must be a woman thing. Yeah. So I do think that that's important to know that you can be both. Like,
yeah, and it's a dad like trying to be like open and having a conversation there, like so many,
and like know his kid better, knowing that he's the only parent in her life.
Yeah, so, you know, she is very mean to him, but that isn't character for her. But it is kind of a nice little, like, scene there that is, I don't know. I thought it was kind of nice.
Which also comes full circle at the prom scene, because at some point it almost seems like there's a disconnect between Marcie and Courtney. And now she's hanging with Villette's friends, like Tatiana Ali, the other girl. She's sitting on her prom date's lap. And now she's following what that crowd is doing because Courtney's doing something else with her. Like, it was just, it felt very full circle because we already knew that, and it's just solidified later. Again, also kind of like with Gretchen Wieners and Mean Girls, where she starts befriending a new group and starts following that new group also at the end.
I just want to say, if we're talking about things that were like kind of plot holes in this movie, that the principal would never go and disclose the cause of death.
Oh, I thought that was so weird. Not just that, but like the announcement of it too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, that's not how that works. And that's not how that would have worked in 99. It's, you know, it was just like a whole thing, but it gives us the very classic high school bleacher shot, which is very extended, of Rebecca Gayheart just like pondering in this bleacher situation. And, you know, it's classic. We love it. It's art, right? It's art. And then we get a great quote. What is it? It's like, some of the sweetest candies are death inside, which of course is just fantastic. And then we get to meet, what's his name? Zach.
I like Zach.
Zach?
I like Zach immediately.
Zach looks like Ethan Hawke, like young Ethan Hawke. You cannot convince me it is not young Ethan Hawke.
I thought it was interesting that obviously, you know, he approaches Julie, she's going to get on the bus, and then they have like, there's communication. He's like, you know, she tells him all like the BS that goes on with like girls and Mean Girls and stuff. And he goes, when you're with them, I would have never just felt comfortable enough to approach you. You're very intimidating. You're very intimidating as a core. You know?
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I would have been intimidated by those girls. And I like that they're able to talk. Then I think it's funny that they're kind of keeping their I don't know if it was intentionally done, but their relationship is very, he's a theater major, he's in the drama club, like that's his focus. And they keep it's very church and state. They have a very school is school, and we have our relationship after, and which leads Courtney and Marcie to believe that he's single and he has nothing else going on to set up Violette. And I just thought that was so interesting. I go, they're gonna lose their shit when they find out that they're together, is what I thought.
Zach ticks all the boxes here, right?
I know, yeah.
Great hair, great car, takes her to the old drive-in, right? Like,
just how about like there's a couple scenes where like he goes, this is where I go when I don't want to be found, when I just want to think. She goes, well, now I know I can find you. Or like when they just go to sit on his car, the roof of his car, or the hood of his car. She goes, oh, is this seat? Like, it's just, it's those boxes that you want in high school. Like the sweet. Yeah, it's very sweet. It's very new. It's very fresh. And then she tells him the truth. And instead of him freaking out, he goes, well, how do we handle this? King!
Yep.
We love it, King!
We love it.
How do we tackle this problem together? This isn't a you thing, and I'm not putting this on you either. Like, let's talk about it.
We love it. Now we have made it to the point in the movie where I want to circle back and have a conversation about Fern.
Okay.
As Violet. And this is when we meet Vera, the detective, and she starts questioning everybody about Liz's death. And Fern, Violet, comes in and starts talking to Vera and says all this like wild shit about the freckles on the back of Liz Purr's neck. And she has
Very Addie LaRue.
Yeah, and she has this monologue about how she was like she would connect the dots
and make different constellations. Like, how, if you're a detective, how are you not red flag, red flag, red flag?
Yeah, huge red flag. So we get this really long monologue of the freckles thing. That is weird. It's weird.
You know what's weird about it is because the monologue isn't just, it's like she was having like this out of body moment where she wasn't just talking, she was fantasizing.
Yeah. So I bring this up because when we go back to when Fern is like introduced and she's like, Liz Purr is the cat's Meow. You mean Meow? Like cringe, like please no. And that establishes her character. And now even as Fern is her persona Violet, she is still like dialed in to this kind of weird obsession with Liz Purr, right?
Even after seeing her body.
Yeah, even after seeing her dead body. So there is something here. What is it that is here?
I feel like it can go, I don't know. We talked about it a little bit, trying to just figure it out, because it could be perceived that she has this, she's in the closet. It's not something that's being discussed. It's 1999. You have, in just this movie in general, there's a ton of homophobic slurs, and not even slurs, but slurs and references.
Yeah.
So is it that type of depiction of, because even they go, oh, Fern, Fern and Liz is such a good friend. Liz has only, at this point, if we look at the facts that we only know that Liz has helped her once. This is not talking about like the whole threesome friend group that we were discussing, possibility that we were discussing earlier. All we know is that Fern sits behind Liz in class. Liz has helped her pick up her books or whatever once, and Fern is infatuated with her. Whether it's romantically, it kind of skews that way. But then there are depictions of people being obsessed with other people, not in a romantic way, but they are literally like, I'm so obsessed with you, I want to be you. Or you're like the girl crush. That doesn't mean I have a romantic or sexual interest. I don't know how it was trying to be depicted. I feel like it was trying to lean towards she was in the closet because it was 1999. And then you have the slurs, especially towards Fern and Julie at the prom. It could go either way, but I just feel that Fern was in love with this person who showed her kindness. At the end of the day, she was isolated as a person, and she was shown, it's kind of like, but except Liz wasn't Tamlin. Like, the whole thing was Liz was perfect. She was just where Courtney ruled with fear, Liz ruled with kindness. She was just a good person, and Fern wasn't shown that ever.
Well, and Courtney does say that, Liz is dead. Be her replacement. So, there's that whole kind of thing too, where it's like, this is Fern's like opportunity to kind of become her version of Liz. I don't know. It's just like a really interesting conversation, because then like you kind of go into, we were talking earlier about movies like we were talking about Swim Fan, and like when like Fern here, you can see where she could take this too far, right? Like if circumstances were different and Liz was still, alive, like that could get weird.
It's like when you're given a choice and like, do you choose this path or you choose this path? There's a fork in the road. She didn't choose the Liz path. She chose the Courtney path.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I don't know. I would love to like, see what other people think here. So like, we obviously can't be casual fans of something, but when does it get weird? When does it get weird? Like when you're imitating, because we're talking like imitation is the best form of like flattery.
Right. And then it's like, what, like you said, what point is it? Because it's not just Swim Fan. Then you have the roommate which is kind of like that with Minka Kelly and Leighton Meester. Then you also have Ingrid Goes West with Aubrey Plaza and Lizzie Olsen. At what point is it like, whoa, this is a little much? And we don't know because, you know, they killed Courtney.
Yeah.
But it's just such an interesting conversation of how far is too far and who creates that line.
Well, this is a very good pivot to how far is too far. Marilyn Manson is in this movie, which is a huge, like, thumbs down here. Boo, hiss, boo this man.
Tomato.
Tomato. I'm throwing tomatoes. He's awful. His name is Brian. He doesn't have his makeup on here. He was dating Rose McGowan at the time. He is gross. He is gross. I have nothing to say. He's disgusting. Go to jail.
I have nothing to say. Can we
yeah.
Next.
Yeah, we acknowledge he's in it. He needs to go to jail. I want to talk about the phenomenon of nipples in 90s movies. There were a lot of fucking nipples in this movie. Nipples in the 90s. If you are saying, Laura Marie, what the fuck are you talking about?
Free the nip.
Rewatch Friends. And look at Rachel and tell me you don't see her fucking hard-ass nipples all the time.
No bra.
Yeah, there was something in the air in the 90s where the nipples were everywhere.
Chill.
Everyone was
like
cold.
Had to be.
Everyone was cold wearing unlined bras because the nipples are wild here as well.
Yeah, and like weird question. There's one outfit. I mean, there's a lot of outfits, but material-wise, I'm wondering if it's prosthetics because Rose McGowan's wearing a sweater, a sleeveless sweater, and you see her nipples cold. When I think it's polyester, when you think of wool, like you should be able to be braless with wool and nothing poke through.
Maybe it's very cold.
Maybe that's just her nipple type. I don't know. This is
we're going into too deep.
This is just taking a conversation I did not know we were going to have.
Well, I mean it. Go back and watch 90s movies and look for the nipples. They are everywhere.
And always in a baby doll tee.
Oh, always. So we get something really fantastic here. We get Zach. Saying this like quote of like, sports and drama are like, what is it? Like stripes and plaids. They don't mix. I was like, oh, Zach.
But that was his key. Because she was trying to be like, oh, I'm so popular. I'm like head cheerleader. Bitch, you don't even have a pom-pom in the back of your car. And then she's like, I've seen you in Grease twice. And that was his like,
yeah, he was like, I'll wait a second. New,
how the hell has she seen? And that was when he goes to Julie and he goes, I have a question. Who the hell is this girl? Because shit's not lining up.
No, not lining up at all. I really like, obviously, like, I like this power play between Courtney and Violet / Fern. But I like when they're underestimating Fern and she's like really coming into her own here. Mm-hmm. And she's in the like bright pink colors and she has her own like wild montage and she gets the car and she's like on the car.
When she locks that, what about when she because I was looking at the curb, I go, technically isn't that faculty parking? And then I see somebody wrote like Courtney's spot or something. So that's where Courtney pulls in. And then Violette locks them in. I like that. I also am curious about Violette's parents because on the first day she's walking to Liz's house to drop it off. And then all of a sudden, her parents were like, oh, you're hot now, so you get a car. I doubt that that's how it happened.
Yeah, and the mechanic just, like, gave her a car for making out with him. It's just funny. We can't think about it.
Also, like, good for her. Like, all you had to do was kiss somebody and you got a car?
One of my favorite scenes in here is the takeover kind of scene, one of the confrontations between Violet and Courtney, and this is the one in the bathroom.
Okay. When Courtney pushes her, like, don't forget who made you.
She pushes her against the bathroom mirror, like, twice. She's like, bam, bam, bam. And then Violet starts, like, smoking, and then Courtney says the Frankenstein line the the Rocky Horror line, which is like, I made you, I brought you into this world, like I can take you out too. So that's really good. I just really like it. And I like the colors that they're both wearing, and like the cigarette, and just, and then Courtney gets so angry. She just like puts her hand in like Marcie's face and like smears her lipstick. It's just really good. I really enjoy it. The Mean Girl plastering of the photos. It is very teen movie, but like Fern Violet faints, and I think I would too. Oh God.
Then how unrealistic is it when she faints a second time, and then you find her wrapped up in her posters, like as a blanket? And I'm thinking, where the hell are the administrators just leaving this student on the ground?
Well, and that brings up a really good point, because that is in my notes right here. So my first note says Rebecca Gayhart's eyes are gorgeous. The second note says, oh my God, the janitor in the background. So Julie and Courtney are having their confrontation in the hallway. And they're going back and forth. In the background of this like very tense conversation is a janitor just like sweeping up the posters, and he kind of like turns and looks and then like goes back to, it is really funny.
That's like, I don't know if you ever watched Scrubs, but there's a character, the janitor, and that's exactly like, he's just like in everybody's business.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so funny. So that confrontation scene is a really good scene. And then we kind of like go into like prom, because Julie gets a box of Liz Purse stuff, and in there is the card, and we find out that Courtney held the button down, plot hole, and recorded herself saying that she killed Liz. So then they go to prom. I really like how Julie was in her pajamas, and then she's like, oh, no, I'm going to go to prom now. And just like immediately went to prom.
I have a loophole that really was, how there's the line, I killed Liz. And then and it's two different voices. And it clearly, the second part is clearly Courtney, where she goes, deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody takes it as Courtney is saying, I killed Liz, deal with it. There's two different voices there. Like, that just, I was like, how everybody's like, tomato, tomato, tomato with Rose McGowan. And I go, but she didn't admit that she killed her, Liz. Public opinion.
Because they were like, that's her voice. Wait, we're getting ahead. The gay bashing. There is so much, especially at the prom. Like, whoa. But also at the prom,
I just hate it. I hate it so much. Like, I hated it then. I hate it now. I don't think there's an excuse for it ever. I hate when people try to make the excuse, oh, it was the 90s. And yes, I understand that, like, maybe it was accepted, but clearly it was accepted. It was made, but it doesn't make it okay. And especially with, like, the recent, like, you think of, oh, it's a generational thing, or it's a this thing. And then people come out, especially with, people find it, like with Betty White, where she had a black actor on her show or something, and they were like, we're going to cancel you. And she was like, fucking deal with it. It's my show. Like, that's the right, like, you all are fucked, not me. So I think it's a perfect example of, it's not a generational thing. It's just like racists and bigots and homophobes and trans, like everything. It's an individual thing, because not everybody's like that.
Not everyone is like that. They are like that in this movie.
They are. No, I know. Ooh. I get really frustrated, because you're like,
as you should.
You can't say like, oh, but it was okay. It was never okay back then, and it was never okay. Just because you thought you were okay with it doesn't mean others are. Sorry, I'm very heated.
As you should be. And you are absolutely right on all points. As usual. Yeah. And well-communicated points as well. I love this prom. For a lot of reasons, I love this prom because it was where Buffy was shot in 92, and I fucking love Buffy. That's one of my favorite movies. Luke Perry, R.I.P.
My So-Called Life.
Yeah, My So-Called Life is in there too. The Donnas are playing.
I was going to say the Donnas were playing.
It's amazing.
I forgot the Donnas were in this movie. And then, I mean, they have such a distinct sound. Who knows what happened to the Donnas? But they're also in Drive Me Crazy, which I know you haven't. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
You haven't watched it. There was one you were like, I have not watched it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make you watch it, but it's really good.
Yep. I know that one.
I loved them in Drive Me Crazy.
I like this prom because it looks like a real prom. It looks kind of shitty, right? Because they didn't have a budget. And there isn't a big choreographed dance scene. There isn't like a...
Was your prom at the gym?
My prom was at a military place.
Okay.
My senior prom. Yeah, it was at like a military place. Everything else was at the like local like college like auditorium, whatever.
Oh, okay.
But I like this because like it's the gym. It looks real. It's not like in a castle, you know, it's not like over the top. And these dresses, whoa, buddy, these dresses. But the symbolism here with Rose McGowan's hair is just really fantastic. I really love it. So Rose McGowan is in the silver dress, right? Beautiful, beautiful silver dress. And her hair is like tightly wound, right? She is up in like kind of a crown situation with the silver, like all around
like
there.
very regal. It's like, yeah.
But
I know where you're going
wraps,
with this.
right? Like completely under wraps. She is all tied together. She is in control. She is like a statue. She's a silhouette, right? But then at the end of that, she's like literally clawing her hair like out.
Unraveling.
Yeah.
It's literally the unraveling of her empire in front of everybody. It's very symbolic and so like it's art, you know? It is so good.
It's lovely. And the slow-mo and then with the hands with Rose and she's like pulling like at her skin. It's amazing. I read that they like strapped her like down and so they could get like a slow and so they pushed her.
Okay.
So
I was wondering how fluid that scene was.
They were like pushing her so that she would have her arms and she could like do all of that, but she didn't have to worry about like walking.
Okay.
But I thought that was really great. I love that like Zach is also like kind of a hacker and like put this card into the thing. Da, 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 da.
Let me switch the aux cord real quick.
Yes. Let me put on my hacker hat.
But that's a lot for 99.
Yeah, I was like, okay, buddy. All right. He's like, I might have done something bad. Okay, Zach. So that was fun, you know, when the speech, it was very caring, you know, it was very good. It was very good. I just like it. And then at the end, with the Polaroid, you know, we're all full circle here. And I think the music is, fairy tales can come true. It's just really good. And then it ends. It's like, and then, you know, what is high school? What is a friend anyway? And that's how it ends. So it's a very dark comedy, I would say.
Yeah, I guess they like try to say it was some sort of horror, but it didn't feel like it feels like a dark, like it's definitely dark humor.
Yeah, I could see.
But I wouldn't consider it like a scare. I feel like because of the murder subject, that could be why they kind of make it like it's
like it can't be horror, or like kind of like B-list kind of thing. I don't know. I really like it. As I said, I watched it when I was very young, very formative, and I have like modeled my life around it, and I did not realize it with my clothing. Absolutely fantastic. Jess, you were giving me some facts about the costume designer.
There were so many fun facts that I found, and again, we'll have the websites in our show notes. The Vicky Barrett created the iconic outfits, and she also worked on costuming on Clueless, like the original Clueless movie, and Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. So that was respectively like 95 and 97. And then she came on for this project. I said like some of the other comments, you know, facts earlier in the episode. Maybe, you know how when people make when you think of period pieces, everybody automatically thinks of the 1800s and earlier. No matter when you make them, those almost always seem like a classic because they never feel outdated. And I feel like this movie granted, some of the subjects and stuff were dated, and like the language is dated, but the style is not. And I don't know, like, I feel like anytime watching that, whether it came out in 99 or it's 2000, and 22 now, none of that style, like, I would still wear capris and a crop, like, to this day.
Oh yeah, no, to this day I would wear all of that.
Yeah,
everything that everybody was wearing, except for maybe like the sunglasses. I wouldn't do the sunglasses. The light lens, like the yellow like lens with.
I didn't like that, but but that's out. Like, they have that. Like, you can buy those on ASOS right now.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and then there was this pair of beautiful. They were like loafer platforms that Rebecca Gayheart is wearing when she's I remember because I was like, oh, I want those. She's crouching to Fern on the floor after she's like wrapped in her poster, and she's wearing these platform penny loafers, but the platform is leopard print, and then it's like a black penny loafer. Ooh. And she's wearing them with the capris, I think. And I just go, where can I find those shoes? And I know I can't find them because they were probably $1 at some thrift sale.
Oh wow, that's
they
amazing.
Were so, my love for, I love a leopard print, and I will fight that leopard print as a neutral.
It is.
And your mom was like shocked when
she's like, oh my god,
her life was changed.
It's genius. It is. It's absolutely neutral. We will fight you on this.
I will say there were some really interesting quotes and fun quotes. Like, I guess the quotes were more facts. So this movie had a $3.5 million budget, which is nothing. I mean, it's a lot of money for us personally, but for a Hollywood budget, that's nothing. And it only grossed $3.1 million in theaters. So it didn't even break even. So it lost money making this. And of course, that's the initial thought. But now here we are in 2022, and it's not so much because it's still talked about. But Rose McGowan was quoted saying, like, in reference to the initial failure, quote unquote failure, that was Jawbreaker, is the studio had to decide to put their money for advertising behind either Jawbreaker or Can't Hardly Wait, which also came out, I guess, that same year. And she goes, they fucked up and chose Can't Hardly Wait. I'm sure it's remembered affectionately by the people that liked it, but please, which is the superior film? Let's be real. One had a cultural impact. And I saw Can't Hardly Wait once. I can't tell you anything besides Jennifer Love Hewitt is in it.
Oh, see, I could write like papers on Can't Hardly Wait. I've seen it 1,000 times.
Of course you have.
Jenna Elfman is an angel in that movie. The Jennifer Love Hewitt's layers, her hair is fantastic throughout that whole movie.
She's always had good hair. Freaking LFO wrote a song about her.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to say in 2017, it was rumored that there was going to be a remake of Jawbreaker. And at this time, Barbie, who plays Kat on Euphoria, said that she wanted in. She wanted to be part of this. Like, Jawbreaker wasn't one of her favorite things. But this remake has gone nowhere. It is dead in the water. So
same thing with the conversation that they were going to put this as a musical, set it to a musical in 2020. And we know where the last 2 years have been. So that didn't necessarily come to fruition either.
Yeah, it's really wild. So it is, I guess like millennials we're like very nostalgic. We are pulling all of our nostalgia, but I would be very interested to see kind of a remake of this, just to see.
I was going to say, because you know how sometimes they do have remakes, and then there's the uproar of like, why are we remaking this? Like, why ruin a classic? There's always going to be that conversation. Do we need another one? But I feel like this could benefit for another, if done well.
Yeah, if done well, there's a lot here that you could like change, and make it.
There's absolutely, and I feel like there's even more, like, if it's remade now, to see more feminist impact. And I mean, I know we hate when girls are pitted, like girls and females are just just females in general are pitted against each other, which is absolutely this movie. There's no, you know, and of course, like some friendships get stronger at the end or come full circle, as we see with Julie and Fern. But there needs to be more of it. And I can see the right person could improve this in a way. And there was a quote that Darren Stein said. He said, it's a female-dominated world. This movie is a female-dominated world where the males are secondary characters or arm candy, where women have the power and their strength and their sexuality is celebrated, which is absolutely this movie, because the men are secondary, right? And their friendships aren't like revolved around the men. They're just kind of toys.
Well, and that brings up a really good point, because when Fern is being introduced to everybody, Courtney and Marcie are like, oh, we need to get you a guy. This is before they do Zach. And Marcie's like, just one? It's like, yeah, we'll just start her out with one, you know, and then she can have more, you know.
Right.
And it was just like this casual thing. It was just like, yeah, yes. Hooray. Yes. More of this. We like this. We like this. So yeah, I like this movie. Jess, do you like this movie?
I do like this movie.
Yeah?
I do like this movie. I don't know if I'm going to watch it 1,000 times, but I feel like now that I have I was able to look at it more constructively also, and kind of pull the things that I wanted to talk about or just kind of touch on. It could be like one of those, you know, when E does the movies we love, and you have in the background, you know, and like the time, you know, I love an hour and a half movie. This is perfect for that.
Yeah, it was like 126, I think.
122 without the credits.
Without the credits, the perfect it's the perfect length. But we could go on and on about the 90-minute movie. Those are all my points. Jess, do you have points?
No, I mean, we already know. You would absolutely watch this again.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know, I want to hear from the listeners. Have they watched it? Are they, is it not something that was even on their radar? Because I feel like there's just a lot of movies from the 90s and even, early aughts that there's just so much content out there. Even then, streaming wasn't always available. And, rental places, you know, if the weekend you wanted it wasn't available, and then you forget to go back the next weekend, you know, it's not important anymore, you know, because even the production time, you knew if a movie came out, you weren't seeing it till a year later to watch at home or order on demand or whatever.
So this came out in 99. So listeners, I would like to know, if you were kind of young when you watched this, I would like to know how young you were, because I was pretty young. And Judy Greer has said that people come up to her and were like, I watched this when I was 13. And she's like, you were too young.
But I don't think that's young. I think, you know, when you're in middle school, you're watching the high school themed movies. And in high school, you're watching the college and movies at age range in their 20s, because you're just... We're so used to saying when I grow up, when I'm older, and you think this is, 13 going on 30 is a perfect version of that. It's when I'm 30, I want to be 30, flirty, and thriving. That's all she wants when she's 13. And then she gets to 30 and she's like, this shit is not what I thought 30 was like at all.
Oh,
same.
Awesome. Yeah, same.
So feel free to follow us on TikTok. We're at ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. And you could also follow us on Instagram, ACOFAE Podcast. And if you feel kind enough to share your reviews, please feel free to give us 5-star ratings and give us your feedback on those platforms. We love hearing from everybody. Please feel free to DM us, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thanks for listening. Bye.